So hello and welcome to the new video. This time I'm finally playing the build I want. It's a Forbidden Rite custom crate. Now, if you are not aware, or maybe you did play the Forbidden Rite in 3.27, there have been some changes with like removal of the awakening gems and other changes like getting energy shield from intelligence. And there was like some things that custom crate is dead and it's bad and so on. Don't worry, custom crate, at least in my version, if you play it in 3.27 or you're gonna decide playing this league, the Forbidden Rite, it's totally fine. You can do all of the content. It's perfectly fine. It just got like a slight nerf, but that's pretty much it for like a very basic TLDR. If that's what you wanna know about the build. So if you wanna know what kind of like nerfs that happen from leading from 3.27 to 3.28, they removed the awakened custom crate, so you're no longer getting a free cooldown from your gem, and you're not getting a little bit less damage on your custom crit. But that's not a problem, since you can get the cooldown on your belt. You're just sacrificing one of the affixes on your belt. Another thing that happened is like the energy shield from your intelligence scales a little bit less, so generally in my setup I lost about 1k energy shield. With my current energy shield like more than 10k, that's like nothing, and I'm not even bothered about that. The biggest nerf that you're gonna see, it's like for the last push on this build. It's like when you're gonna be doing the 10.10 trigger cap, and for the vast majority of the people right now in current patch, that's gonna be pretty much impossible, because that's gonna require to like slam Forbidden Rite with one of the gems that I'm currently using, something like the Greater Volley or like a Greater GMP, so you can socket the cooldown recovery, because getting more cooldown recovery if you want to mix and match like something like boots and belt and some other gems, it is doable, but that's gonna be a lot of work around rather than just having it in your main setup and getting the power like that. But like I said, like a couple of seconds ago, most of the people will never reach that. It's gonna be way too hard. So currently most of the items are priced reasonably, but you have to understand, if let's say 500 people decides to play right now Forbidden Rite, all of the prices of the items that I'm using, they're gonna skyrocket, so you're gonna be paying a little bit more. So before you actually commit yourself into the build, I would advise you to look around on bits and pieces how they actually are worth on the market, and do you have the currency and so on, before you decide to see that you're gonna be playing. I would say generally, if you don't see about 35 divines and you have some kind of starter build that you can farm a little bit more, I would say maybe wait a little bit more, because the things, some prices like eggs are actually dropping down, but there are some other items that might be very hard to do, especially like specific items like one of my rings. So you have been warned. So now, I'm gonna be describing items and gems. I will leave you some kind of alternative version that you can do and so on. But remember, if you're gonna be using the alternative version of the item, or you're not gonna have all of the affixes that I have on my item, your energy shield will not be equal to mine. This is not gonna happen. The same goes for the damage. Realistic expectation for someone who's just starting the build and you don't have all of the gear, well, I'm gonna be assuming you're gonna have some between 5 to 6k energy shield and half of my damage from the POB. If you're able to achieve that, then this will give you enough damage to do T16 maps and actually farm them, and then you can work your way up. That's the goal. So let's start with the core of the build. The core of the build is this amulet, Whispers of Infinity. You must buy it. Without this amulet, the build will not work. The things that you can skip on this amulet early on, you can skip the Tranquility, because later on you can upgrade your amulet. And the maximum energy shield that you have, It's not necessarily needed that you need to have like me, like a 90 or 100. Whatever you can have, that's gonna be fine. The catalyst for the defense, yes, they can be skipped. You don't actually need them right now. Later on, once you get more currency, you can do it. Moving on to the helmet. The helmet is quite easy. You need to have Viridian's Veil, and what you're looking for is the +2 socketed gems in this helmet. Do you need the power charge? Yes, it's give you the power, but early on, no, you don't need it. As long as you have 2 socketed gems, that's fine. And you're keeping this. Determination, Val Discipline, this is very important. Val Discipline always wins over a Discipline 21. Then you have Zealotry, and you have Enlighten level 3. When I'm gonna be describing the passive tree, I will tell you that there is a way that you can get away with just a level 2, and then you can level up to level 3. But you have to go to the passive tree section, and I talk about there a little bit more. So once you have your Viridian's Veil, you need your blue ring. You want to keep a blue ring in your left slot. You want to buy a base nameless ring. They are very cheap, like 1 to 2C. You want to scour it, and you want to alt spam it until you get a T1 dexterity. Once you have a T1 dexterity, you're looking to have like some kind of energy shield. Either you're going to be annulling the other different modifier, and you're going to be bench crafting, or maybe you're going to be lucky like me and you're going to get some kind of roll of energy shield. And you're going to be applying the attribute catalyst to have more dexterity. Then the next ring. This ring is a little bit more tricky, because there's 3 stats that you're looking for, and to be specifically 3 suffixes. Is the T1 intelligence and T1 strength. The strength, you want to have it as high as you can. You can have the T1 dexterity T1 intelligence on the lower end, but the strength would be better if you had it on the higher end, because otherwise you're going to be trying to find strength from other sources. And you want to have an open suffix, because you want to craft the reduced chill effect that goes hand to hand with the Pantheon. Now, for the prefixes, I would say early on, ignore the prefixes. Later on, you're looking for the T1 maximum energy shield, because that's gonna give you a little bit more energy shield and damage and so on. But the fire damage is useless. The spell damages were something that I just slammed from my Crusader orb, because I had too much currency. That's pretty much it for the rings. So that's your main weapon. You're gonna be using a dagger, to be specific, Imperial Skin. That's how you that's probably not the way you pronounce it, but you're looking for in this dagger is spell damage, attack speed, and hits cannot be evaded, and global crit multi. Now, if you go on a trade, daggers like that they don't exist. You're gonna have to craft it yourself. How you do it? You buy the base with a fractured crit multi, and now you have 2 choices. Either you spam essence for attack speed, and you're hoping for some spell damage. This is what I did with my dagger, because I have a essence attack speed, and I was trying to get like a spell damage, and I have a T3 spell damage on my dagger. Or you can do other way around. You can spam the essence for the spell damage and hope that you're gonna get attack speed. Whichever way do you want to do it, that's up to you. But what generally I would advise is just buy the crafting base, slam it a couple times with attack speed essence, about I would say like 10 times. And if you're not gonna get any spell damage, then temporarily I would sit down on something like this. As long as you have an open prefix that you can craft, hits cannot be evaded, and you have attack speed and crit multi, the fractured one, like over here, I would be happy with this. And later on, once you get more currency, then I would try to recraft this dagger. And the links that you're keeping in your dagger is Frost Blink, quality is nice, the level 21 is not necessary, you can have it, Whirlwind Blades, and faster attack. So moving on, your shield is simply just buy Aegis. You can buy the cheapest one that you can have, or you can try to buy a little bit more energy shield and armor. That's, you know, whatever. As long as you have Aegis, this will be fine. And the leaks that you're keeping in your Aegis is still skin, automation, and more duration. Moving on to the boots. The boots, again, you just want to buy a Stampede. The only stat that I'm looking for is the increased cooldown recovery of the travel skills. This affects your blink skill, I mean the frost blink. The Force of Darkness is nice to have, but I would say skip it for now if you don't have the currency. You can upgrade the boots later on. And the links that you're going to be keeping in your Stampedes is Assassin's Mark, Precision level 1. You only use Precision level 1 if you have a double modifier watcher size like me. If you don't have it, then you don't need the Precision. Mark on hit and Tempest Shield. You don't necessarily need the Tempest Shield quality, but you can have it. It's like just whatever. Moving on to gloves. Now the gloves, I will start with the links, because I have no idea what kind of setup in my gloves I can do with the links. So I just simply have 4 forbidden rites, just leveling up, so you know I can slam them with the new currency. And the stats on the gloves that you want to have is like as much as energy shield as you can buy. That will be a top priority, and then resistance. Or let me just take it back. Go with the most amount of resistance that you can, and then the energy shield. Because if you buy a high base with low resistance, that you're gonna have problems. So you need to balance the resistance and the energy shield according to your budget. And then you should try to spam, like, you know, the ethers and the basic freaking lesser orbs just to get the unnerv. That will give you a little bit more damage. The mark effect, a little bit more damage. You can do that yourself, once you're gonna be farming the altars. At this point, the lesser orbs are pretty much, they cost nothing. They are very cheap. The belt, that's gonna be a tricky thing, because primarily what you're looking for the belt is like the top stats that you're looking for is the cooldown recovery rate. You don't need 16% like I have. You need to have the bare minimum of 14. That's 1-4. Which of the cooldown recovery, the bare minimum of the 14 on your belt, you will have problems, because in my setup I'm in the 7.5 trigger rate, so you need the 14 cooldown recovery rate on the belt. That's the most important stat on your belt, and you should have it. Now, you want to find yourself some resistance, maybe some craft, and so on. Now, my belt is quite good, but it was self-crafted. I just bought, self-crafted. I just slammed pretty much Crusader Exalted Orb and added some, defensive catalyst. That was my crafting thing that I did about it, but there is a thing that you could actually go into the new blighted belt, the corded one, cord belt, something like that, and get like an anointment. But that's gonna require a little bit more tricky things, because you would need to have a cooldown from either from Shaper or from Crusader, then some resistance. That's like a super end game thing that you wanna do. Early on, just stay away from that belt. Chest. So for the chest, you're looking for the primary thing is like the 6 length, then is the resistance, and as highest as you can energy shield. If you get something like a 900 or maybe a little bit above that, that will be good enough to start, because later on you can upgrade it. And here's what you're keeping in your chest. It's Cyclone. It's a base using the basic Cyclone, not the special version of the Cyclone that you probably are used to, that I'm using. I'm using the basic Cyclone. You don't need the level 21. You just need a Cyclone. That's pretty much it. Then you're using a custom crit. Yes, I would recommend if you buy the level 21, that will give you a little bit more damage, because the less spell damage goes, I think, from 10 to 9. Then using Forbidden Rite of Soul Sacrifice, you don't need that level 21. Level 21 just gives you a little bit more damage. What ideally you want to do, you want to have the level 20 and just slam it with the new currency until you get something good for the build. Then you're using Greater Volley, increased critical chance, and power charge on critical support. Pantheons are very simple. I'm using Brain King. I'm mainly using Brain King for the frozen and for the chill reduction. This is, you have half of the chill reduction over here and another half on your ring. That's why in the ring section I was saying this is very important, because this and the bottom of the Brain King synergize very well. The minor one I have Aberrat for the for the ignite and the burning ground, because I'm doing the red altars, so I need that. Otherwise, I would have a lot of degens. Now, Act 2 bandits. This is depending on your build. If you lack on the resistance, you would take Alira. If you're fine with the resistance, then you can take a 1 point. Early on, I would say take Alira, as this will help you out with with gearing a little bit. And once you get your gear up and running and it's great, then you can respec out of Alira. This will be a much simpler way of doing it. So flasks. Early on, you can skip Bottle Fate. This is an end game flask, and you will just use Basalt Flask for more armor. Now you're gonna see the common thing that's gonna happen. Every single flask gonna be using the same prefix. It is gain free charges when you hit, and then you wanna gain free charges and cure resistance on your diamond flask. That's the most important, because diamond flask require the less amount of charges, so you can sustain the cures reduction. Then you have gain charges and bleeding and corruption immunity. This is great while you're mapping. You don't have to think about it too much. Then you have gain charges and regen. This helps you out a little bit. Then you have gain charges and armor. And all of those 4 flasks, you won't have the enchantment. You just bench craft it, use when the charges reaches full. And this thing will just automate your flask for you. You don't have to press them. They just gonna be, you're mapping, the flask are there, and you don't think about it. They are there and you're happy. So let's start with the passive tree. Ascendancy, very simple. 1, 2, 3, 4. You move on. The one tricky thing is gonna be your medium, so large, medium, and small cluster jewels. All of them have either stats and resistance on them, because I need them. The more stats and resistance you get, primarily stats on in this section, this will relax your gearing process. So when now my large cluster is Touch of Cruelty. You need to have it because that's attack speed and some chaos damage. I have 2 fire resistance. You can skip the 2 fire resistance, I'll give you that. Then I have Touch of Cruelty, a little bit more damage. This is a dead passive, but you want to have this one. So otherwise, if you don't have this one, this probably the touch of Cruelty is over here. So have that in mind. The 2 medium passives are exactly the same. They are Eye to Eye, Repeater, and you have Repeater and Eye to Eye. But on both of this, the small nodes over here, I have Strength and some resistance, and the same thing is Strength and I have all the resistance. And the Strength goes a long way, because I have a lack of Strength. You're gonna find out why soon. Then you have the small ones, the small cluster jewels, and this is another important thing. You need to have a 2 passive, increase mana reservation on this small cluster. And then, because you're gonna add, like I have over here, some extra resistance and some whatever armor. And then you have 3 possibilities. It can be you can roll a Discipline, you can roll Zealotry, or Determination. If you're gonna be buying it and you're not gonna be rolling yourself, just buy the base of the increased mana reservation, because Determination can actually be rolled on increased armor base, like over here, increase armor. and once you buy the increased armor and determination, and everything is gonna be fine, you're gonna be thinking it's fine. No, because you need this 6% small node plus the notable of over here. So this is one of the possibilities that when you can make some kind of problems for yourself. Another thing is this small one is enduring composure. This gives you endurance charges when you've been hit recently. That's great. I love it. It's absolutely great. It gives you pretty much a lot of defense. How I'm proccing these endurance charges all the time, no matter what, is because of this mastery. This mastery gives me +1 to chaos gem and hits me for some 10% whatever for my energy shield. It's pretty much whenever I casting my forbidden rites when I'm cycloning, I do hit myself for a little bit, and this procs endurance charges. So that's like a nice combination of those two. And I have some cold resistance and so on over here. This could be a little bit better because the only meaningful stat on this, I have a cold resistance. So if you get some stats, more resistance, you're gonna be better off than me. So this is something that I probably could improve, and you can improve as well. Then moving on over here, the rune graph for the reduced attributes and the global defense is absolutely great. It will give you a lot of energy shield, but I would say it is not necessarily or early on. But when you're gonna be balancing your build, I would add it to the POB, at least the section for the reduced attribute in some kind of the custom command, to make sure that you taking that into account that at some point you will buy this and you will not have the attribute problems. So that's something to keep in mind, because currently I think it's 500C or something like that. It's quite expensive, I would say. Watcher's Eye. So like I was saying in the gear section, the Watcher's Eye, the most important is the gain from the discipline mode. I mean the gain energy shield from the discipline mode. The Flask charges on crit on precision. It is a nice to have, but it's not necessary. It really depends how much does the Watcher's Eye like that cost. So if you can just buy the basic one with the discipline and you drop the precision, then you don't actually need the precision over here. And like I was referring in the gear section, if you just buy the discipline, you don't need the precision, and you can actually squeeze an enlightened 2, because you would actually not need about 16 mana, or how it is 16 mana, right? So that's why the enlightened level 2 would actually work if you just have the discipline mod. Now moving on over here, there's nothing to things that happening majorly, just a large cluster, a thread of hope large, and you're picking the divine shield, glancing blow, and there's a 1 stats over here because it gives you strength, some spell damage, spell crit, overall great note. Now probably you're not gonna have a level 95 right away, and you need to trim down some nodes. So here's what you can trim down, what you can remove from the passive tree. This node is you can remove it. I just have an extra level and I had to place it somewhere, so that's 1 point over here. The Zelo 12 is another point, so that should give you 2 points over here. So even super early on, when you don't have the rune graft, you can actually skip another 3 points over here. You might be lacking a little bit of crit chance. That shouldn't be that shouldn't be stopping you too much. So that's pretty much 3 points over here. That's 1 point that's 5 points. And depending how hungry are you for stats and resistance, you could drop down them 2 over here. So that gives you about 7 points of flexibility. So about the slamming for the Forbidden Rite Soul Sacrifice. Now, ideally, the best case scenario that you can have, and it would be slamming the blue one and getting power charge on critical support. This would be the best, because between this level 1 and this level 20, the only thing that upgrades and move on is the chance to get the power charge on critical strike, you know, the line, because he's the level 1 and he's the level 20. You still keep the 4% more damage per power charge. That's mainly what you're interested. Is the chance to get a power charge. That's what actually upgrades from the level. So this support, having this level 1 support, would be the best scenario that you can have on your Forbidden Rite. And then you can either remove this and get yourself like a crit damage. You can get even the cooldown recovery gem, and then you can go into 10.10 you know, setup. It really opens up a lot of possibilities if you get this gem on the Forbidden Rite. But that's gonna be a bit tricky in my opinion, because that's gonna be like, you know, winning the lottery, because other useful gems from the blue section is something like maybe a crit damage and conk effect. Where's the conk effect? And conk effect, because that will give you a little bit more damage. But that's pretty much 3 gems that are really good. But there's a lot of bad gems in this section that you can slam and actually break. The other possibility would be if you go with the dexterity, because with the dexterity you have, like, you know, couple possibilities, like, you know, the GMP, the greater volley is actually quite good. The faster projectiles is actually quite good as well. So, you know, there's a void manipulation for more chaos damage. I think that's how it's void. Yes, the void manipulation. So the green, it's a much safer option, but you will never get the biggest spike that you need. So you have to decide yourself. Do you want to go with winning the lottery? I mean, more like a chance of winning the lottery, or you want to take the safe option? That's something that you have to decide for yourself. I'm gonna be actually, if you're asking me what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be trying to get the, you know, the power charge on crit in my Forbidden Rites. That's what I'm gonna be doing. If you got this far in the video, I would say thank you for watching, and I will